Once upon a time, in a sprawling community, lived three inseparable friends, Norma, Inem, and Engwa. Norma was the strikingly beautiful daughter of Chief Amadi, one of the wealthiest men in their community, while Inem was the only child of a wise old widow known as One, due to her fondness for beauty and elegance. Despite their differences in social status, their friendship was unwavering, and little did they know that their lives were intricately woven into the tapestry of their community's fate. Norma had a special destiny, as she was betrothed to Prince Oberu from childhood. The bond between Norma and the prince was solidified by the enduring friendship between Chief Amadi and the king. Prince Oberu was a humble, hard-working young man who, despite his father's wealth, sought to build his own empire. He had a deep respect for everyone he encountered. Norma's belief in her own beauty was unshakable, and she often bragged to her friends about her upcoming marriage to the prince. She was certain that no one in their community could rival her beauty. Little did she know that fate had a different plan in store for her. One day, the trio embarked on a firewood gathering expedition in a nearby village. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they heard a faint cry for help. Engwa, the keenest of the three, urged them to investigate. Initially, the others hesitated, but upon hearing the cry again, they realized it was a plea for assistance. Inem, the most compassionate of the friends, seized a mashit and sprinted toward the source of the distress. Norma and Engwa initially tried to stop her, but soon followed her lead. What they discovered was a young man bound to a tree, his body drenched in blood. The extent of his injuries made it impossible to discern his identity. Norma, in a hasty judgment, insisted that he was a common thief who deserved his punishment. Inem, on the other hand, felt a strong moral obligation to help the wounded man. She pleaded with her friends to assist in releasing him, but they refused and decided to leave her behind with the stranger. As Inem stayed with the injured man, he made desperate attempts to signal to Norma, hoping she would recognize him. However, Norma failed to see through his bloody disguise, dismissing his actions as mere attempts to gain her attention. Upon their return home, the two girls encountered Inim's mother, who was concerned about her daughter's absence. Norma and Engwa concocted a false story, claiming that Inem had followed a suspicious-looking man from a neighboring village. They assured her that the man had promised to bring Inem home later. But Inim's mother, knowing her daughter well, was unconvinced and set out to find her. Inem, meanwhile, had been struggling to transport the injured stranger through the forest. She carried him for a distance before assisting him in walking. Her determination to help the unknown man was unwavering, despite the challenge of their slow progress. While navigating the forest, Inem made a surprising discovery. Her mother had left subtle signs in the form of tree branches, which she used as letters to communicate with her daughter. Recognizing these signals, Inem knew her mother had come searching for her. They reunited, and her mother, a skilled herbalist, tended to the stranger's wounds. To their astonishment, as they cleaned the stranger's wounds, his true identity was revealed. The injured man was none other than Prince Oberu. The prince, who had been kidnapped on his way to his maternal home, sought refuge with Inem and her mother. Fearing what the king might do if he found out about the situation, Prince Oberu implored Inem to hide him until he was fully recovered and ready to confront his enemies. Inem took on the responsibility of nursing the prince back to health. She provided him with companionship and ensured that he lacked nothing. Over time, Prince Oberu began to develop feelings for Inem. Recognizing the prince's growing affection, Inem became worried about her friend Norma. She cautiously broached the subject with the prince, asking if he remembered anything from the day of his rescue. Inem hoped the prince would not recall her role in saving him. Prince Oberu, in an effort to protect Inem, pretended to have no memory of the event. Relieved, Inim shifted the credit to Noma, claiming it was Noma who had saved him. The prince was taken aback by this revelation, puzzled by why Noma had lied to him. Surprisingly, no one had mounted a search for the prince, as the king had informed the community that the prince was visiting his maternal relatives and would return in 2 months. In the following days, Angua and Noma paid Inim a visit. Since the rescue, they hadn't had the opportunity to see her. Angua, upon seeing Inim, inquired about her criminal husband. Noma, on the other hand, asked if the stranger had rewarded her. Inim remained silent as her friends teased her, their laughter ringing in her ears. Noma, in a fit of annoyance, warned Inim never to mention her name in connection with a criminal. Inim, though, urged them to wait and meet the stranger. However, they declined. Meanwhile, the prince, who had overheard the conversation, revealed his true identity. Inim's mother, who was a herbalist, had cared for him, and his wounds had healed. With the truth unveiled, the prince became angry at Noma's dishonesty. He announced his intention to return to the palace, as his enemies had been captured. In a state of confusion and unease, Inim approached the prince and inquired about his abrupt departure. He did not provide a clear response, but asked her to return. Days later, Prince Oburu returned to the palace. The king informed him that it was time to marry Noma, in accordance with their prior agreement. The prince, however, was adamant that he should have the opportunity to choose his bride from a selection of maidens, as was customary in their kingdom. His father argued against it, but Chief Amadi, his future father-in-law, advocated for the prince's request. Amidst the buzz of anticipation, the news of the maiden's dance spread throughout the village. Every maiden began preparing for the event, purchasing exquisite outfits and necklaces to captivate the prince. Noma, who believed in her luck, was no exception. Inim, however, was disinterested in the preparation, convinced that her friend was the rightful choice. Inim's mother urged her to participate in the contest, but Inim hesitated, believing that Noma was the prince's chosen one. Her mother, however, revealed that Noma's engagement was null and void the moment the king announced the maiden's contest. On the day of the ceremony, Inim assisted Noma in preparing for the dance, making her look even more enchanting. Afterward, she rushed to the palace to help the prince with his preparations. Upon her arrival, she was directed to a seat to await the dance. The palace was a sight to behold, adorned with colorful decorations, and the laughter of excited maidens filled the air. When it was time for the prince to make his choice, he surprised everyone by